I think I confused emotional chaos with connection for a long time, and I know I'm not the only one. Welcome to Gloss and Growth, where we keep it real, a little toxic, but always growing, evolving, and talking about real life relationships and the little things people swear mean more than they do. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It will help bring more attraction to this channel. And that's what I need because I really want people to listen to what I got to say because, baby, I be having a lot to say, okay? So I used to think toxic love was passionate love. Back then, I thought love was supposed to be intense. I thought if somebody could affect my emotions deeply, that meant the connection was real. So the confusion, the inconsistency, the mixed signals, I normalized all of it because chaos felt familiar to me. And I feel like maybe some people have felt that too, and I started seeing like the things that I thought was normal and in love was inconsistency, overthinking everything, not knowing where you stood, chasing clarity or validation, feeling anxious but calling it care or love. I really thought all that was normal. Like, and growing up, like when I was in high school, I really had my first relationship and I experienced all of this. Um, and I really thought all of this was normal. Now, before like I start, talking a little bit about that relationship in high school, it's nothing against that said person. We are cool, like me and him are cool, like it's no bad blood. I get it. He was young as well, and we were both young, both trying to figure it out. And I also want to put out another disclaimer, whereas in like, I know y'all probably listening saying she was going through this all at 15, 16. Where is her mama? First of all, my mom was very into my life. She was always there. But as being a teenager during that time, you don't really tell your parents everything. And that was really with me. So the things that I went through in this said relationship, I did not really talk to my mom about it. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't really feel comfortable. And I also thought that I could really just handle it all by myself. So inconsistency was normal to me. The hot and cold energy. When someone's energy is, just changing, it just keeps changing. So to me, like I remember when I was dealing with this said person, because it started in high school. I'm gonna be honest, it started in high school and then it just led up today. As a 28-year-old woman, it's just here still. But I'm learning. So I remember one day, he was very present, texting, calling, engaging, whatever the case may be. And then the next day, distant, dry, unavailable. Even when me and him would like argue, like it was just dry. It was like talking to a brick wall. So there was no clear pattern, I'm always adjusting, having to adjust my emotions, kind of having to walk on eggshells because, I don't know what I'm going to get. And I always was waiting for like the good version of them to come back and just feel relief, when they're nice and confusion when they're not. So for me, like I take the relationship that I was in when I was in high school. I take this as a way to lead into this conversation because I really feel like that's where it started. Because growing up, I was not like the pretty girl. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like the pretty girl. And so when I got into high school, per se, it really felt like I blossomed. Like I really started to grow into my looks. I'm a thicker girl. So, everything was coming in all the right places, and I was able to kind of fix my appearance. And so once I started to do that, of course, all the boys was flocking, honey. They was coming. And so of course, this is when I had met, you know, I call him like my first love because that's what it was. It was like high school puppy love. So, with him, it's so crazy because how it really started was I really was not interested in him at first. Like I was just like, yo, no, like don't talk to me. But once we started to really once he started to get to know me and I started to get to know him, of course that changed. And so like I said, he was, very inconsistent, during that time. He was very hot and cold. He, was just doing the most in high school. Like, and I'm just like, how do you have all this time? Like, granted, you are a senior, but how do you have all this freaking time to do the things that you was doing? So I remember, overthinking everything, like rereading messages to find like hidden meanings to him, analyzing his tone, the timing, even down to the emojis, baby, that he was sending. Creating scenarios in my head to explain the behavior, like, oh, well, he has this going on. He's trying to graduate. Just BS, honey. Just BS, okay? And, one thing I realized is that my nervous system was just trying to find safety through answers. And I did state before that, I was always waiting for the good version of him to come. And what that means for me is like, we all have this thing where it's like, if we stay for a certain amount of time, they'll eventually come around, they'll eventually get their act together, and, they'll start being good. And so I would make up, excuses for his behavior by just saying, oh, we're just young. He's just trying to figure himself out. And this is why he's acting the way that he's acting. But I know that if I continue to stay, he will get better and he will see that I'm the one, and he'll adjust and he'll get right back on track. And sometimes that's not really how it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy because I was so young to think that way. And I was so young to just feel like everything that I was going through, it was just normal. Like everybody goes through this. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody goes through this in love. Everybody goes through that struggle love where they're experiencing the cheating, the inconsistency. But then one day he wake up, smell the coffee beans and be like, okay, like I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to hurt this girl no more. Let's just get together. And I be perfect and I don't cheat, and we just ride off into the sunset on a white horse and have the house and the white picket fence and live happily ever after. And honey, sometimes that just does not work. So, I definitely experienced a lot of emotional uncertainty. I never had clarity about the relationship, although it was clear that we was in a relationship. I didn't feel valued, chosen, or serious. I always felt like I was guessing my position in that relationship. I always felt like I had to fight for my position. And it's so crazy because, like I said, like I'm using the relationship that I was in high school because I really felt like that was the start of it all. Just wanting to have validation from that person when I should have been looking for it within myself. You get what I'm saying? So, it was just very unstable. It was not safe. It was just like waiting for confirmation that, never come. And so I started chasing clarity or validation, like I stated before. I was asking him, I remember asking him indirect questions to see how they feel. Like, I would ask him questions like, well, do you see us being together forever? Like, well, that's not really indirect, but I was asking direct questions like, do you see us being together for a long time? Like, can you see yourself with me? And I was trying to prove myself. I was trying to prove the fact that I was loyal to him, not cheating on him, not like he was doing that to me. Cause honey, oh Jesus. Okay, we ain't gonna even get into that. But it was just more so like I always needed that reassurance to feel okay. Like I wanted him to be like, listen, I love you. I choose you. You are the person that I want to be with. So, because I wasn't getting that, I was just trying to fix the confusion instead of stepping back from it. Because he was showing me time and time again that he really was not like he loved me, but and he likes me, but he really wasn't for me. But instead of me just like taking heed to it and moving on, baby, probably being out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying? Well, that wouldn't have been good in high school. But instead of just like focusing my attention on something else, I was still trying to make sense of his behavior and his actions in regards to how he was treating me. So, with that, I was feeling anxious, but I was calling it care of love. I was I would always get nervous when they didn't reply, or when they did, my stomach would drop. I always felt unsettled when dealing with him, but I still stayed anyways because I was waiting for that good version of him to show up. And the confusion came in because in my mind, I'm just like, oh, I just care about them. But really, all is really sending signals to my body is like, girl, you're stressed and you are not secure. Like, this relationship is not healthy for you. So, with all these, it points to one thing. Like, I was trying to find stability in something that was never consistent. And so, I didn't really realize I was living in confusion at that time. And because, like, I felt like this was so normal, like, even when, like, I met, like, my daughter's father, even my dating life, till now, I just thought that all of this was normal. Before I got into therapy and really started to work on myself, I thought that everything that I was going through be to this, prior to therapy, I really thought all of that was really normal. Like I just thought that it was so normal just because of like, what I see, on, social media, TV, hearing in music. I just thought that that was really just normal. Like this was just what it was. And that's another thing too is the outside influences. So what I just brought up, music, social media, movies, though that as well can influence how we see love. And that also is a big thing in romanticizing toxic love because it is in the music. You know what I'm saying? And although they make it sound good and they put all this type of music and stuff on it, that doesn't automatically mean that it is good. And social media, I also want to talk about that too, because I feel like although I am a big social media fan, I do feel like social media has a way of romanticizing toxic love. Um, because I feel like for example, TikTok, you will see more story times on how a girl got flued out with a guy that was already sending her mixed signals, red flags, whatever the case may be. She ignored him and he do some crazy stuff to her, or he flies her out, never meets up with her. You see that getting pushed out in TikTok, on TikTok, more than people that are actually getting proposed to, getting married to, or a man like, talking about how much he loved his wife, or, you see more toxic love story times than you do good ones. And I do feel like that is so crazy to me. But one thing I do know with social media is they do have a tendency to push out those type of things because it get more traction, because it gets more comments and gets people really in tune to like, okay, what happened next? Like he flew you out, sis, and left you on red, didn't even talk to you. Like what happened? Because we need to know. And it's just so crazy to me. And then also it's in the movies as well. And let me talk about this. Let me cook. It is one movie that I really cannot stand. It's nothing against the actors. It's just the movie. It's the plot. It's everything in one. And the one movie that I cannot stand, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of pushback on this, but I really don't care. It is the Love and Basketball movie. I cannot stand that movie. Yes, I've been played like a fiddle, I've been played like a joke, but I cannot stand that movie. And I'm telling my age, I graduated in 2016. Okay. And I remember when we were all on Twitter, which is now X, everybody always used to quote how they wanted that love and basketball relationship type of thing. And even being that young and getting played like a fiddle in a joke by the person I was with, I could not understand why anybody would idolize that relationship or want that relationship. Okay. That movie is just so wrong and it's so bad, but it's just like a classic, right? It's just a classic. It's like Friday. Like it's a classic movie. But when you think about that movie is so wrong, okay? Monica chased Quincy the whole entire movie. When they were kids, they didn't even have a good friendship or relationship when they was kids. The foundation was already off because it started when they were kids, okay? He pushed her off the bike and they started fighting. She chased him that entire movie. And yeah, he might have noticed her when she would get a little bit of attention because, they didn't go to prom together. So he did notice her then, but she was the chaser. Like, she really wanted this man. She even like said, we can play. I want to play for your love. And he was dunking on her ass every time. Like, it is crazy. I do not like that movie. I don't like that movie at all because, like I said, that she chased him the entire time. Like that's one movie I just got beef with. I got beef with the movie. I got beef with the plot, and I feel like the director, cannot think of his name, but he knew what he was doing because baby, I got beef with the plot. Okay, I just did not like that movie, but that is one movie that I feel like people really do idolize, and it's so sad because it's like this poor child was chasing Quincy, like she was just chasing him the entire time of the movie, so why do we like him? But anyway, I didn't got off track. Let me get back on. Okay, so this is where I started to wake up. This was the shift. So at some point, I just got tired. I was emotionally exhausted. I was mentally drained from always being in my head about everything. It felt like my mind never really got a break. I was always overthinking something, messages, silence, tone changes, energy shifts, everything, always trying to figure out what something meant or what changed. And I didn't even realize how heavy that was on me at the time. I just got tired of everything, of constantly trying to decode things instead of just being in the moment, always trying to figure out where I stood or what something meant or what I should do next. And somewhere along the line, I started thinking that was normal. Like, that's just how it's supposed to feel. But I wasn't really happy in it. I was just drained. Even the good moments didn't feel really good because I was always waiting for something to shift again. There was never really peace in it, just little breaks from confusion. And I found myself always trying to figure out things instead of just experiencing anything. And I think that's when it really hit me. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to always be in my head and trying to solve something that's supposed to feel safe. And I just got tired of that cycle. So how I see it now as, being 28 is that peace is starting to feel different to me. So at first it almost felt unfamiliar because, I wasn't used to it. I was so used to emotional ups and downs that calm felt like something was missing when really it wasn't. It was just stability. So now being this age and knowing what I go through now, like what I've been through, I pay more attention to how things make me feel instead of how tense they are, because intensity doesn't automatically mean connection anymore. And I also am starting to pay attention to alignment, like emotional, mental, and even spiritual alignment with someone. Because I've learned that if one of those things feel off for me, I'm not going to force it or try to make it work out of confusion. I'm just not doing that. I'll leave with no hesitation, not out of anger, but out of self respect. So consistency means more to me now than being able to relax in something means more to me now. Not feeling like I have to overthink or decode every little thing means more to me now. And I had to learn that. I had to unlearn the idea that love is supposed to feel confusing or stressful or like something I have to figure out all the time, because real love shouldn't feel like that. And honestly, I'm doing something I've never really done before, and that's choosing me fully without guilt, without second guessing it. And I think that's what I'm learning, that I don't have to question my peace to feel connected to someone. So I think a lot of us didn't actually want toxic love. We just got used to it. And once you're used to chaos, peace can definitely feel unfamiliar, even wrong at first. So I guess I will leave you with this. Have you ever noticed what love feels like for you when it's actually calm? I would love to hear you guys' answers. So please use that comment section to your advantage. And I don't care, baby, write a full paragraph. I will read all of them and respond to all of them, because I really would like to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on today's video. Please, like I said, do not forget to like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you guys next time. Bye.